Yeah, okay. So, just introducing myself, I'm Matto, and as you can see from my personal website, I've listed 7 things that I do, and Drupal is the 6th out of 7. So that'll give you some idea of how much of a Drupal expert I am. I am not a Drupal expert, but I sometimes refer to myself as a Drupal site builder. So there are sort of back-end developers, front-end developers, themers, and then there are site builders. Do any of you people here in the audience identify yourself as a site builder? Okay. Or as a fairly sort of new, low-level Drupal aficionado? Because that's what you're the people this is aimed at. Okay, so that's me. But what I'm working on is a site called Knownio, and if you go to the home page here, Knownio, this is built on Drupal obviously, but Knownio, the idea with Knownio is that, as you can see from the tagline up the top, it's about knowing what you want. So I've been working on this idea for many years, and it's in response to personal pain points that I experience in my life where I need to quickly and easily find information about something that I own or something that I use, but I don't have it at my fingertips. Okay, so let's see if I can find an example of that, those pain points. We'll go in here. And okay, here's one here. Not knowing the number plate when trying to find a car. So this happened to me recently. I had to retrieve my wife's car from the Sydney Eye Hospital. Okay, she got drunk, work drinks the night before, and she sent me and my daughter out in my daughter's car to go to the hospital car park and retrieve her car. Okay, fine. Okay, but I didn't know what her number plate was. It's a Toyota Kluger, and it's a big white 4-wheel drive, okay? But I didn't know the number plate, so she said it's in level 3, and that's all the information she'd give me. So I schlepped all the way out to the Sydney Eye Hospital car park, and I didn't know the number plate. So this is an example of a pain point for me where if I could get the number plate from my mobile phone, it would have saved me some time. Okay. There's some other stuff there. So that's just one example of general pain points I have where I don't know what I own. Here's just one more example quickly. Not knowing the NRMA member number for cheaper vehicle check. Okay, so this happened yesterday. I was sitting at work in Randwick. My daughter rang up from Cronulla and she said, I'm trying to buy this car. Mum insists that I get an NRMA vehicle check, but it'll be $20 cheaper if I can tell the vehicle checker Mum's NRMA membership number. So she rang up Mum. Mum didn't know. Any of you NRMA members? Yeah? Okay. Do you know your membership number off by heart? No. Okay. So if I had known, or my wife had known the membership number, or I had easy access to it, then we would have got $20 off the NRMA registration check. Okay. So, and there's multiplied these pain points by like 1,000, where I own stuff, I use stuff. The NRMA membership is sitting on a bit of paper somewhere in my house. The number plate of my wife's car is sitting somewhere, whatever. But I want it handy. So out of those personal experiences, I thought, well, I'm going to build a service where you can know what you want. You can collect all the stuff about all your stuff in one cloud-based service, and when you need to get that number plate or that membership number or the login details for the, 100 websites that you all have a login to, then you can go to Knownio and you can find it quickly. Okay, so that's the background, that's the service. But the point of this talk is to give you some insight into some choices I've made as a site builder, not as a Drupal expert, to enable some of the functionality that I want to make happen on Knownio. How do I get that back? Ryan? Technical support, hello? Oh, here we go. Okay, so, and by the way, this site, as you can see up there, is hosted on Pantheon. If you're a relative newbie for Drupal or a site builder, not a coder, not an operations guy, I really recommend it. It shields you from a lot of the painful technical stuff. So this is the dev site, and as you can see, I haven't even ponied up for the paid version of Pantheon, where you can put your own domain name up there. So this is ugly. This is not beta. This is not live. This is not alpha. This is pre-alpha. So it's just me mucking around and experimenting. So the key sort of concept in Knownio is digital profiles of things you own, and I call them Knownies. All right, a Knownie is a digital profile which represents a physical asset. So it could be a thing like a car, it could be a thing like a number plate, it could be a thing like a web account, lots of things here. So this is obviously a views list that I've created for all the nodes that I've created. Could be a pet, okay? And then underneath here, under Knownies, I've broken that out into, well, if you want to see all the digital profiles of pets in the system, okay, we've got Barchi. Barchi happens to be one of our cats, and I've got a default image there. We happen to own a couple of horses. Do not ever own horses. It will send you broke. So, my daughter owns Dash. Okay, and what I've done here is I've created a node type called a horse, and you can give it a title, which is the everyday name of the horse. It's kind of like the nickname. Put in an image, and horses have formal names, and this is RSP dots and dashes. So there's a couple of attributes in there, a couple of properties of a horse I've put in there. I've hard-coded in the gender and the type of horse and how big it is and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And I've done the same thing for people. There's a list of people in here. This is my wife who sent me to get her car from the eye hospital. Okay, so picture there. And there's no other fields with the people. So I've got horses and people and places and events. And this is just an experiment. Some of the things you might want to document. So digital profiles are the key concept in Knownio. But the thing I want to talk about tonight is this thing here, which I call connects. And in the model I'm experimenting with in this system, we have digital profiles of things you own and use. They might be a thing like a car, they might be a person or a place. I'm interested in the connections between those things. And what I've done here is I've created an entity type. It's not a low-level kind of new form of entity in Drupal speak. It's just a node type, which I've created. I've called it a connect, like Knownies. It's just my branded version of a connection between two digital profiles. And what you see here is a view. It's just a view of all the connects in the system. And what you see here is you've got a digital profile on the left. This happens to be a number plate. And on the right, you've got another digital profile. And this text in the middle is an auto-generated title for that node, that connect node. And if I click through to that, that'll just give me a very basic node view of VPT 308, which is a number plate, and this thing here, not knowing number plate when you're trying to find a car. And these links here, if I click on that, so we've got 3 fields here on this connect concept. We've got a title, which is actually auto-generated from the title of, let's call it the left-hand digital profile, and then the right-hand digital profile, and the third field is just details. It's just like, think of that as the body, where you can put some notes. So I've just written in here, this isn't Jeanette's number plate, just creating this connect as an example. Now, these 2 fields here, so this is a node view. What you're seeing, these 2 fields here are entity reference fields. Okay? And I've set them up so on this very ugly basic view, I can click through and see the entity that is referenced on both sides of this connect. So on one side, we've got the node view of the number plate, okay? And I happen to have a photograph there, and I've got in the body of the node type, I've put number plate of my Mazda 121. So that's actually my car, that's the real number plate. And down the bottom there is an attached view, which I'll discuss in a moment. But if we go back to that connect view, click on the other side, the other side of the connection, and in this case, this is just a note. And again, in Knownio branded thing, I'm considering calling that a note with a KN. So this is just, if you've got an idea or an experience, in this case, this is a pain point. So not knowing the number plate when trying to find the car. So some of the job stories, some of the user experience I'm trying to solve with the Knownio system, I've actually entered into the Knownio system as content to help me work out how to build the system. So this content type is called a note. It's got a title. It's got some tags. That's just free tagging. I've called this tag as a pain point and want, and some guff here. This is the pain point I went through with getting the car from the hospital car park and you don't have the number plate, and this is an attached view here. Okay, so does everybody understand the notion of I've created an entity type, and the purpose of that entity type is to connect 2 other entities in the system. Okay? So the entity reference module, which I've installed, enables this. But what people traditionally do with the entity reference module is that in this node type here, so the digital profile, in this case a number plate, the way traditionally the entity reference type node module is used is you can attach a field to this node type, which is an entity reference type. And the point of the field is when you create a new entity, so down here you can say add new, and this gives me the option of creating any of the node types I've got in here. So I can create a person. So for argument's sake, I can just say, pick one of the people who are here, Murray Woodman, and I can put an image and some details in it, but I'll just save that. Okay, now, so Murray's in the system, but let's just go back to the edit screen. Now, traditionally in here, with the full name and the image and the details, there would be another field in here, which is an entity reference. So traditionally, entity reference was kind of created so that in the node type person, I could put a field in there and then have a user widget where you could select a connection to any of the other entities, any of the other nodes that are in the system. So that's the kind of the general concept for entity reference type. But as hopefully you've already deduced, what I've done is I've said, okay, well, maybe to enable my vision for Knownio, where you've got digital profiles of real things, and you've got the person and the car, rather than doing the traditional way of creating an entity reference field in the person type and an entity reference field in the car type, I am going to create a whole new abstracted entity type, which is a connect. So in this system, I'm creating connections between entities, and the entities themselves don't even know they're being connected. How spooky is that? So, the number plate and that node, or my car and me, those digital profiles have no idea that they have been connected in the system, because those entity reference fields aren't in the person type. The entity reference field aren't in the thing type. It's a completely new entity called a connect. So does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know yet. This is an experiment. Now, one of the aspects of things I was going to talk about tonight, so again, just to cover off some of the things I've enabled here. So let's just look at this. This is a connection. This is the view that was a view of all the connections. This is a view of a single connection. Now, if I go to that, this is my node, person node, that's me. And see down the bottom here, connects. This is a view which I've created in the views module. And I've said to the views module, okay, do this very ugly table view and connect it to every node, but only show the connections that are relevant to that node. So again, just if you're going to add new, I can add a thing or a pet or a horse or a person or a place or an event. I can add a connect. And this is all out of the box Drupal stuff. So I can connect from Murray Woodman, and I can connect to GoDaddy. Let's say, have you got a GoDaddy? Okay, have you got a Gmail account? Okay. So, Murray has a Gmail account. We can put a description in there. I hate Google. They own me. All right. They bone me. Ah. Okay. So I save that. So just by the by, that's how you create a connection in the system. So Murray, Gmail. Now, if you looked at that and you saw this connection between Murray and Gmail, I think it's fairly safe to assume that you can infer that Murray uses Gmail. Okay? Okay, so back to Murray, who we just created a moment ago, and there's his wonderful picture, the default Murray. Now, down the bottom, automatically reviews that connect I just created, says that Murray is connected to Gmail, which is a thing, and if that's a hyperlink, I can go through and say, see Gmail, and hopefully this is where you'll get some idea of the point of this model. The point of this data model, Gmail, imagine that's a lovely Gmail logo that connects Murray Woodman. Oh, look who else is connected to Gmail. Look what else is connected to Gmail. That's my Gmail address. Okay. Yeah, well, at the moment, this is logged. Yeah, at the moment, anybody can connect to it. But on the day, obviously there would be restrictions. So the idea here is that, by the way, in my own, we're talking about my real life experiences, the first step I took in trying to know what I own is I created a Google spreadsheet. So number plates, cars, accounts, auto debits, all that kind of stuff. I created a Google spreadsheet. I don't know how to get out of this, but I created a Google spreadsheet with about 20 sheets. And what I did was I documented all the things that I needed to solve my pain points. But what I found was that in a spreadsheet model where you've got rows and columns, lots of information was turning up like 50 times. You know, this National Australia Bank check account is used to pay that auto debit. No, in fact, those 17 auto debits. So part of the reason why I'm interested in this model is rather than having a person field for Murray and having, a person node type for Murray and building into it a field which said which webmail provider he uses, and he can put in Gmail. You could do it that way, but if there's 1,000 users of this service or 1 million, do you want everybody filling out that field themselves? Or is it smarter to create an object, which is Gmail, and allow that to be reusable via this connection thing? I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea. But just to sort of wrap up, what I said before was, what I was going to talk about was corresponding entity reference logic, which I thought, let me just explain why I thought I needed it, is that if we go into people, almost finished here folks, we're going to me. Now in the views attached down here, see it says connects, arrow to the right. So that's one view attached to my node. But down here, connects, arrow to the left, that's another view. So when you saw earlier on when I created a connection between two nodes, there's a connect on the left and the connect on the right. And as you saw from the user interface, when you're creating a connection, you say connect from and connect to. So in the system that I've built, there's this logic which is from and to. And in order to make all of the connections that my node is involved in, this is me, the person, digital profile, there's a connection between me and Vodafone because I'm a client, and there's a connection between me and my car. But in this one up here, I connected from me to Vodafone. This one down here, I connected from my car to me. So in order to make them all show up, I've got to do two different views. So I thought corresponding entity reference module, which by the way is a module that turns from and to relationships, or parent and child relationships, it automatically turns those into bilateral relationships. So I thought that if I installed corresponding entity reference module, I could create, me to the car, or the car to me. It wouldn't matter, because with corresponding entity reference, it would do an extra procedure and say, well, it's not from and to, it's just connected and connected. And I'd only have to attach one view. But what I forgot was, like I said before, thing nodes have no entity reference field. And horse nodes have no entity reference field in them. There's no from and to in the actual things, digital profiles themselves. I've abstracted those two entity reference fields into a new entity type called a connect, and therefore corresponding entity reference has no value. So that's just sort of exposing my journey to you. I don't know what it means. Hopefully it has some, there's something that you can take out of it. So that's Knownio, that's the concept of digital profiles, Knownies, and connection between those digital profiles. I don't know whether it works. I will continue to experiment, but that's what I'm up to.